I discovered some new music last night and it's absolutely mental and I absolutely love it. Check this out. Now, I think they're from Canada and they've got French names. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the name of them because I'm just going to ruin it. I'm just butcher their name completely. And what this is about, right? I reckon these guys are Gen Xers. Now, stick with me, I'll present my case. Now, first, the music. The music, they've invented a new genre and a new sound of music. And at first, right, when I first listened to it, the first 10 seconds of it, I was like, this is just, I don't even know how to describe it because it's that bad. But something really weird happened. At about damn it. Low battery. Something really weird happened. At about the 11th second, I spontaneously broke out into uninhibited white boy dancing, right? Arms flailing everywhere and just interpreting the music like back in the old rave days. God, I miss the rave days so much. It was an amazing scene, but it changed. It changed when all the normies and the piss drinkers started to infiltrate the scene, and it completely killed the vibe that made it so special in the first place. But getting back to the music, yeah. So I just spontaneously broke out into interpretive dance because I can't dance. I have zero rhythm and whatever, but I make up for it in enthusiasm and commitment. And if someone's enjoying themselves, we've all seen someone dancing terribly at some kind of event, but if they're enjoying themselves and then totally lose all self-consciousness, you know, and just give themselves over to the moment and the music, it's a beautiful thing. It is fantastic. It's beautiful for two reasons. Because one, the first reason is, you know, that person is enjoying themselves, you know, and like I was talking about yesterday about being comfortable in your own skin. It's empowering. It gives you strength. It makes you feel good. And the second reason is their enthusiasm and just pure joy is infectious, and that's what fills dance floors. That first person to get up there and just not give a F, it's a beautiful thing. And so Gen X, what's my point? Okay, why do I think these guys are Gen Xers? Because Gen X, right, we started to do things differently. I think that was the theme and the message from that era and from my Gen X group. You know, all this rave stuff and oots. We invented that shit, kids. We invented that shit. But you're not getting what we got, because in the early days, it was an underground scene, and it was born into existence from gay culture and house music. The combination of those two things just created something magical, something spontaneous, something that rigid structure and centralized conformity can never achieve. So the house music and basically, you know, the gay scene, you know, they adopted that music, and ecstasy came onto the scene in a big way. And, you know, I don't have to explain the significance of ecstasy and what it does to you. Everyone pretty much knows. And because gays, you know, and particularly like, yeah, in the 80s and they suffered a lot of discrimination, and you know the homophobia was rife, and particularly in Australia as well. I grew up in northern Queensland, Australia, and the homophobia was very real. It's still quite real, but it's not as bad as it was. So the gays, you know, they started having these events for themselves, you know, and with the music and the ecstasy, and the theme was peace, love, and harmony. Whereas with all the heteros, right, with the wolf head, piss head, bloody tough Aussie male, we go to the pubs, you know, showing off to women by being bloody cavemen as such. You know, the mentality was, it still is to a certain extent, but I don't think it's as bad as that now as it was. But the mentality was, you know, you go out on a Friday and Saturday night, and if you don't get a fuck or a fight, then it was a shit night. And a lot of the fights just actually involved sneaking up on someone and king hitting them, you know, and you know, a lot of blokes that, you know, participate in those kind of the violence out on after the bullfed guys that participate in the violence on a night out, you know, they're usually the bullies, and they picking on targets that are weaker than them, or targets that, you know, are pissed and can't defend themselves, or they're sneaking up on people. Because you'll find, like, a proper fucking staunch bloke who can fight, who's trained to fight, they're not the ones going out picking fights and bashing people just for the sake of bashing people. It's your run-of-the-mill fucking average male with all his insecurities and everything else, uses violence to compensate for their own deficiencies. So, and the girls don't like that, you know, they don't want to. As soon as there's violence on a night out, it ruins the night. And so what started to happen is, right, the girls started going to the gay raves, right? And me and my mates, at the time, I lived down south of the Gold Coast, and we're surfers, you know, and surfers have traditionally, particularly back then, not so much now, it's more kind of like big business and, you know, centralised and boxed in. It's taken away a lot of the hippie spirit, which kind of like was the foundation of surfing for, you know, for a long time. It doesn't seem to have that so much anymore. But surfers, you know, they've never been afraid to be different, you know, with long hair and, you know, colourful clothes and just the whole surfing lifestyle. You're fit. If you're a surfer and you're surfing a few times a week, you're a fit mofo. And being fit, that gives you self-confidence as well, because you feel great, you know. If you've ever been super fit and disciplined with your food and your sleep and everything else, it's better than any drug in the world. You just feel fantastic all the time. And because you're fit and you got the muscles and you're lean, that the girls love the surfers. The girls love the surfer boys. So, and plus the surfer boys, we started to notice that the girls were going to these raves. And plus also the music was pretty cool. And me and my mates, we started going to these raves. And I never had a problem with gay people. Zero problem with gay people. Because I understand, you know, you don't choose who you're attracted to, do you? You know, as a hetero male, I didn't choose to be a hetero male. It's just how it is. That's who I am. That's what I am, you know. So I've always understood that for some weird reason. I've never had any problems with gay people, gay guys, or whatever. You know, never had a problem with it. I think my theory of it is that a lot of guys who do have the problem with it, they're secretly gay themselves, or they want to dabble in that area, you know, but they hate themselves for it, you know, because they're butch tough men, and butch tough men don't be gay. So anyway, that's a whole other story. So yeah, so we were going to the raves, and you know, there's a sea of beautiful young women there, totally comfortable. The guards dropped because they haven't got that bullhead hetero alcohol fueled pub bloody violence you know, hanging in the air. And the gays, on the most part, they're very welcoming, you know, as long as you know, paid the respect that every human deserves from every other human. They're cool as. They are so cool. And it's also such a nice change to be out at, you know, at night at some kind of venue with heaps of people and not having to worry about being randomly bashed by some bloody caveman who has all these friggin' hang-ups that's causing him to do the things he does. So, and Gen X, we were part of that, you know. The X, I always assumed the X was kind of stood for the ecstasy. I have to look that up and see, but that's what I've always assumed. And I thought it was kind of odd that they would name a generation after a recreational drug, but whatever. So, Gen X, I think we got some unique traits about us, you know, because, for example, when I was going through high school, one of my classes was computer programming in BASIC, and me being a young person with no experience or life experience or any fucking clue or idea about the world or how the world works, computers didn't really do much in the 80s, you know. You could program them to, like, print out a picture of Einstein using ones and zeros, and you play these crappy bloody computer games, and it's like, yeah, this is great, but whatever, I'm not going to pay attention to get good at it. And boy, oh boy, was I fucking wrong about that. Because as it developed, by the end of the 80s, computer programmers, they were highly respected, and they got paid shitloads of money. And looking back on it now, like, computer programming in BASIC is exactly that. Basic, you know? You didn't have to be a mathematical genius to be able to become competent at computer programming. So there's one of the mistakes I made, not recognising computer programming for the significant innovation that it is, you know, it was. But kind of rambling. So getting back to why I think these guys are Gen Xers, because Gen Xers, we encompass a wide range of genres and people, you know. But the grunge scene was born out of resistance and pushback on centralization. Whenever centralization of you know, society's infrastructures gets, you know, condensed down to a particular point, and a small group can control everybody and everything from a position of centralization, then that's when bad things happen. And it's happening right now, and it's shown its ugly face in many different ways.